All right, I'm starting the recording about 2 minutes early. So if you're watching this later, you might want to fast forward the first part of it. Otherwise, you'll just be staring at my face and my beautiful Marvel comic books background. Hello. Good to see you, Tom and Frank.
Hi, Johnny.
Wow, the beach. Hey, that's
Yeah, right. Fake, but it's the beach. I mean, that's an actual picture that I took, so it is an actual beach, but
yeah. That's
I'm out
good.
there now.
I just got back from there this week. So got
Oh,
back.
wonderful.
Yeah, we were in San Diego. My kids got to see the beach for the first time ever.
Oh, San Diego, the best.
It is the best.
72 in the summer, 68 in the winter.
Yep. Hard to beat that. Although I like to pump up the temperature hotter than that. I don't mind those 90s. The 90s make me happy. I know I'm crazy, right? Crazy.
No. There's a time for everything. So
Hi, Lynn.
Hey, Johnny, how you doing?
Doing well. It's a good day. I love doing these roundtables, so it makes me happy. Get to see everybody's faces and hear the voices. How's your life?
Life is good. It's not raining for the first time in a long time, it feels like, here in the Boston area.
Is that normal this time of year?
No, well, I mean, a little bit. It's been colder and a little rainier. We're getting that kind of the June gloom that they get in San Diego.
Yeah.
Right now, they kind of get sucked in the morning.
We're getting rain all over the place, and it's very abnormal for us. Like June is usually a sunny month, and it's probably been 25% sunny, which has made me very sad.
With you.
As you're coming in, I'd encourage you to take a look at the chat. So there's a little icebreaker question there about a hobby that makes you happy. You know me, I'm all about connections, so I always want to learn a little bit more about the people in my community. So please jot in your hobby that makes you happy. Kieran, I see you. Good to see you. Danielle. Couple Mollies here.
Kieran, how you been, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine.
Who's talking? Oh, Tom. How are you? Tom, it looked like you were at a beach right there. You having a good time?
I'm not. I'm in New Jersey looking at a cloudy, rainy day.
That would be a baller move, though, wouldn't it? If somebody just joined this call and they were really at the beach.
Be kind of cool.
But that's just bragging at that point. This is bragging.
That's right.
All right, Molly, remodeling homes. All right. So are you a designer? Do you like the design piece? Do you like the actual hands-on gutting things out piece? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I don't, obviously it's not something I'm doing all the time, but yeah, I don't have a background in design, but and I'm off camera because I'm eating lunch. I apologize.
Oh, please do it. Do it. I wish I could. I'm doing something, otherwise I'm eating right now.
I'll be doing the same thing.
Yes, please. Yeah, I should put that in the notes. Like, yeah, let's have lunch. It's a lot of people's lunchtime. Actually, that's late for you though, Karen. Man, you just didn't eat, huh?
It is, but I usually eat at about 4 p.m. It's kind of a running joke in the office here. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's one way to do it, I guess. All right, Tom. Oh, a couple people golf. Golf is the thing. Well, it's the season for that, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Get out into the open air. Okay, we've got some active people. All these are active hobbies. I'm the only one with a nerdy hobby so far. Writing. Everybody else has active. Tennis and paddling for Lynn. Paddle tennis. You said paddle tennis. Is that another word for table tennis, or what's paddle tennis?
Paddle tennis is tennis that you play up on a platform and it's got screens around it. And generally you play in the winter, like the colder months.
Got it.
So it's something to do outside all winter. It's really fun.
Man, I've never heard of it before.
It's bigger than pickleball and smaller than real tennis.
Right.
Got it.
It's that's a good way. It's almost like it's like not squash, what's the other one that you play in an indoor court?
Pickleball, squash, I don't know the other one. Racquetball? Racquetball?
Racquetball. It's kind of like racquetball, but with screens
Yeah.
instead of walls.
Screen, when you say
That's the best
screen,
way.
just to put
Like chain link fence looking screens.
got it,
Mhm.
got it. So like a cage match is what you're saying.
Like a cage match. Yeah. With a hard ball.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, the people that are sharing, and feel free to chat something in. I know some people are just joining on the phone only, and so they're in the car or something like that and won't be able to fill that out. That's completely fine. But let me just tell you how happy I am that everybody's here and joining me. I'm going to go ahead and get started. My goal, as anybody who's been on any of these calls before, my goal is to keep it to a strict 1 hour time frame. And so I'm kind of rigid on that, because I want to make sure I'm respecting your time. And then just zooming out. So even why I'm doing this. This is, man, it's probably my 5th roundtable this year. It's been so enjoyable, so wonderful to get to know everybody, and it's really been the brainchild of my whole entire team at Data Joe. Just saying, okay, how do we help people, and how do we keep our pulse on what's going on with people, and how do we leverage the fact that, you know, me, Johnny, I'm constantly on the phone with publishers, hearing about, you know, your concerns and your dreams and things that you've tried that have worked, and the things that haven't worked. And so how do we start to put that to work and connect you to each other, which I know you guys have plenty of other ways that you connect, but you know, this is more in the context of things that we're helping with and all that. So my goal for the call is twofold, and that's for every single one of these roundtables. Connection, number one. I think a good connection is worth its weight in money. Right? You connect with the right person who knows the right things that you don't know. And so everybody on this call, I want you to have a context for connection, and for, you know, after this roundtable to be able to pick each other's brains and potentially even co-strategize on how to do these products. So connection number one, progress number two. So we're, you know, our mission statement as a company is we're an entrepreneurial data partner. So entrepreneurial data partner, that's our blood, that's in our veins. And that entrepreneurial piece means innovation. So we're always looking to, how do we move these models forward? How do we make it better? How do we make it more profitable? How do we get more engagement? All those kinds of things. So connection and progress is the overall goal. Now as far as who I've got on the call so far, looks like I've got two of my current senior care list clients on the call. So one of those would be Kieran Keating, and then Shelly Crowley, who's joining us in the car. And so they'll be able to speak a little bit to the experience of the list. And then the others of you on the call, I think, are probably more interested in just understanding how to launch it for yourself. And even if you're interested in doing that, and what the scope of the opportunity is. So I'm going to go ahead and put it out to you first. What are your main questions coming into the call? Anybody have specific questions coming into the call? So I can make sure to guide the conversation that way. Be bold, be courageous. All right, then I'm gonna assume it's just generally understanding kind of how these lists work and how to make them more profitable. So
Johnny, I'm interested because we've seen sort of an organic increase in business from this segment without any kind of an organized approach. And I feel like we're probably leaving money on the table, and that we should look at a more thoughtful approach to the category.
excellent. And do you have a current section?
We do not. And I'd love to, I mean, we have something that we've sort of called, I think the old name was Prime Years Living, that sort of ran out of gas. And I just feel like we're not thinking about it right. but there's just, we all know we're part of this giant generation of people that are all looking for more services. And that's also very many of the readers of our magazines. And I just think we're not at New Jersey Monthly right now doing the best that we could on this. And I want us to do better.
Excellent. Now, did you do a postmortem on the prime years living to get any sense for why?
Not really, no. It predated my arrival here, and no, we haven't really done a postmortem.
Okay. And then just show of hands, how many of you have a section, not the list people, but how many actually have a section even if there's not a list? Anybody here have a section? Okay. So you do have a section. So some of you will be looking for meat, adding meat to the section. Oh, Liz too. Good to see you, Liz. Liz is another one of our current list producers or list users. So, all right. So organic increase in revenue from Tom, and looking to figure out how to leverage that, and then we'll certainly cover that as we go further in. So the first thing I'll do is I think I'll outline the model. So we kind of stumbled across this probably 6 or 7 years ago, just by a client request asking us if we could do anything in the space. We stuck our nose in, tried to figure out how it might work, and then we came up with a methodology. This is very different from our other lists. Most of our other lists are nomination based. This one is completely publicly sourced data from federal and state sources, and it's 4 subcategories. So when I say senior care services, that's an umbrella for top nursing facilities, top assisted living facilities, top home health care providers, and top adult active and independent living facilities. So and that fourth one is optional. Some people do that one and some people don't. But those are the 4 categories that we have a methodology for. And again, that methodology leverages exclusively public data that can be found by government sources, and then internet research, and we'll look at reviews and things like that. And so there's things that we're doing, but a lot of it has to do with the ratio of disciplinary actions and sanctions and things like that. Like if they go above a certain level, then that's part of how they get flagged and taken off the list, and other things like that. So it's definitely a different kind of an animal than the other lists that we do. Now, the question that I'll kind of pose to everybody here, including my people that are currently doing it, is why do a senior care list? What's the purpose? What's the underlying purpose of it? For those that have, why, and for those that are interested, why?
I can certainly speak from our perspective. As somebody else, I think Tom was saying earlier, I've always felt that should be a strong category for us because of the age of our readers, the demo. In many cases, they're making decisions like that for their aging parents, or in some cases, maybe even for themselves. And it was a category that we were, so therefore, there was, I think, a certain amount of reader interest, but also from a revenue perspective, it was a category that we just weren't getting a lot of revenue out of. There was one section that we do every year. We call it Aging Well, which is something that I think we kind of borrowed from Philly and Boston. And we tried doing it a bunch of different ways, never had a lot of success, always got a little bit of business. It was one time a year that we get a little bit of business from some of those facilities, some of the nursing homes and active communities. So that's why we jumped in.
Yeah. And so just to kind of zoom to I think what the next question probably would be to you, Karen, has it worked?
Yeah, I would say yes. So the first year we did it, we had planned to do it in 2019 and to run it, I think I can't remember what month in 2020. Obviously COVID hit, which made us pretty nervous about doing it. Because obviously nursing homes were having a real tough time. So we delayed doing it, I believe, that first year. We did it, and I would say it was marginally successful, but was also 2020. So you can't really base a heck of a lot on anything that happened in 2020.
Right.
And then each year since then, it has grown a little bit. I think it's limited as to, I don't see it as one of our major special sections, but it's probably gone from being, in year one, it was maybe 3 or 4 ad pages. Year two, it was about 6. Year 3 was about 7, and this year we did about 8 ad pages. So again, it's not a major section for us, but yeah, it's a category that a business that we weren't otherwise getting. So yes, I would regard that as a success.
All right, excellent. And then anybody else for why you either do it or why you're thinking about it?
Well, St. Louis Magazine does it because we have some major competition with some of these affluent, like smaller publications called like Town and Style, Ladue News. We have like 4 of those that we compete with, and they do a lot of senior living in there. They're less expensive. They sell their covers. So you see a lot of that, and we never were able to break into that market. But the list, and I handle senior living, that's one of my verticals. So, but it's helped a lot. So I have like pretty good relationships now with people because senior living, they love the accolades and they love the award things. They love to showcase those. Those are on their ads. They normally always do full page displays, which is nice. So you're always probably going to get a full page out of it. And I've picked up probably, big schedules out of a few of them. So, and my biggest thing is I asked Johnny to do the independent living. That's where the money is. I mean, independent living is, I've talked to several of my people and I said, what's the percentage that you spend on marketing your budgets? And they're like, independent living, obviously. So the home health care, the assisted living, some of the bigger ones that have step up programs, see with the independent also do a lot of advertising. But any of those ones that, take Medicare or all that, they don't advertise. Any of them that are in these like poorer parts of the city that show up on the list. I know we need to cover the list to be legit, has to cover everywhere, but you're not going to get anything out of, a lot of that stuff. So it's the bigger independent living facilities that is where I was getting my money.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And we had talked a lot about, this is getting a little bit more into the weeds than I wanted to get this early, but I appreciate you because I think this is probably the most useful content that can come out of this call. We had talked about,
List help. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So let's put a bookmark in that for later, the idea of zip codes and, regions, because we are actually, from last year, we were in conversation about what could be done to mitigate that.
Yeah.
Because you're a lifestyle magazine, your readers are going to be, more on the wealthy side. And so there's certain facilities that don't necessarily reflect relevance to your readership. And then how do you ethically deal with that? Right. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Great. Thank you, Liz. That's super, super duper helpful. So my next question is going to get a little bit more specific, and then we're going to get down to like the actual best ideas, and that'll be the bulk of the call. But my next question is, we'll throw it in here into the chat. Let's see. Oh, whoops. What is the ultimate goal, and how do we get I think that's the question I'm asking for. What's the ultimate goal of the senior care list, and what is the difference? What is the level of health that's possible? So I think I'll even throw this to, it's like a Liz, Shelley, Kieran that have already done it. You guys have already kind of, there's a profit margin, it's profitable. what would be the ideal increase year over year that you would see? Because that's going to help me wrangle in the ideas towards a reasonable outcome. So, you know, what percentage would you be looking? What's a realistic percentage that you'd like to see increased over the year over year?
I would take, you know, any increase. I mean, I guess I'd like, you know, generally 10 to 15%.
Yep.
Be nice. I would say that's this year we probably did about, like I said, probably about 10-15% over last year, and same thing prior year. So we've probably been doing a 10 to 15% increase from years 2 to 4.
Okay. All right. 10 to 15% increase would be ideal. All right, Liz, what are you thinking?
Oh, for sure, because with us, we're leaning, Sales Magazine's leaning more into digital. We've
Yep.
got some niche newsletters. So we're actually consolidating some of our issues. So we went from last year to this year, we dropped 4 issues. So, and now we're looking at next year combining Jan Feb, which January was the one that had our senior living. So I really have to justify these sections.
Mhm.
So they're looking to me to definitely increase by like, I mean, an increase over last year of, I think the same as what Kieran was saying, like at least 10 to 15%.
Let's shoot for the fences. What would be ideal, right? So 10,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 15%.
okay, 15%. All right. All right. And then Shelley, you said 2 pages, which I'm guessing is right in a similar range to what they're addressing. And so at some point, we're going to get into the how a little bit, because this is going to be kind of high level. There, you know, obviously there will be testimony going back and forth, and so that testimony that you get from each other is really concrete and really actionable. But the overall goal is there's some dreaming that I want to happen here, right? Like some dreaming towards big gains, big changes that can happen in the product that can make the product better over time and yield even bigger wins than the 15%, right? Like we like to do the thought experiment of what would it take, what would have to be true for this to be 50% more profitable, right? That's a fun thought experiment. Like that's not what we're doing now, but so I'm going to bring it now to more of the experience side of things. And this is where I just want, like, people that, you know, first of all, I just want to thank you so much for the people that are currently doing business with us that are on the call. And I want to encourage you to give it to us straight, right? So I'm going to ask about the challenges, right? Like things that were tough, whether it was a Data Joe issue or anything like that. Like, please do feel free to be transparent. It's not going to hurt my feelings at all, because a call like this, you want the real story so that you can make things better and grow. So I'm not afraid of that. So let's first talk about challenges, and then we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, ideas for what has worked in your experience, and then what could work better in the future. So challenges. What are the biggest challenges that you faced in doing this product?
I can chime in. I don't think there was, from a sales perspective, I wouldn't regard it as very challenging. We just essentially took the list and made sure that we reached out to everybody on that list. You know, put some nice looking sales materials together. We've tied it the last couple of years with our top doctors issue, because we thought that was a good tie-in, just because it's health focused and related and a popular issue. I would say the challenge, if anything, was more, there was a little bit of concern of doing a list of some of the top nursing homes, especially around the time of COVID. And even this year, we actually got 2 letters before we even published. So I'm guessing that they were people who had complained to the administrators of these nursing homes. And the nursing homes must have told them, well, we were just awarded from Rhode Island Monthly, you know, a top senior living award as one of the best, you know, it's one of the top nursing homes or one of the great nursing homes in the state. And we got 2 pretty intense emails from children of people who are in nursing homes. And so the way we responded to those was we just, we said, well, we will certainly have our survey company double check and make sure that, that this is what the information is based on. We're going to have them reach back out and make sure that this all ties, and we did, and it did. But that's a little bit challenging because especially in these times where nursing homes are understaffed, their staff are underpaid for the most part, at least in Rhode Island. I think it's a national situation. So there was just a little bit of concern to a point where we thought, like, should we be doing this issue? But we have decided that yes, we do plan to continue with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is every once in a while you end up with that objection, right? The objection of why are they on the list? Because my experience doesn't agree with that. And really we're looking at numbers and statistics, and we have, things that are justifying that, a person's experience isn't necessarily always going to line up with those statistics and those numbers.
Exactly.
And so, you just have to have a mechanism for handling an objection like that, right? Which is
Correct. Right. And so going back to saying that we're going to check with our survey vendor and verify that everything in a very respectful way, that was kind of how we handled it. So. Yeah. And it can be a controversial, how would you, as far as, let's call that controversiality, right? Let's just say, a negative public response in some way. How would you say that it compares with other lists like top doctors or lawyers? Would you say it's proportionately similar, the feedback you get, or? Well, it's a much smaller list. So, when our doctors list, there's hundreds of them on the list. So we probably get more, a different kind of complaint. How come I'm not on the list, or somebody from my facility isn't on the list, or it's, it's a favoritism contest, or whatever the case may be. So we probably get more with docs than any of them, actually.
Yeah.
So, and generally speaking, we don't get a lot, so.
Yeah, that's good. Liz, how about you, challenges?
Well, that's not one of mine because I just refer them, it's good. I'm like, here's the methodology, I just, that drives me crazy because I handle the doctor's list. I've been doing that for 15 years and I can't tell you how many people, why aren't I on the list? Well, I just love saying we have nothing to do with it. So, so that's why I like these lists that are done. Like we thought about doing our own list at one point and I was like, oh my God, no. That would be a nightmare. So, but yeah, so I think that maybe even with the senior living, maybe a tighter kind of methodology statement, like something. I mean, I always send that out with my materials, but maybe something a little more. And yours is pretty long. I think I remember.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean. But my biggest challenge as a sales rep is finding like the umbrella companies. So you'll have a list of 7 places. And then my problem was trying to find the right contacts. I mean, it took me, which that's not on you. I mean, it's just trying to find that because the corporate account, so I mean,
it is on me. That is on me.
Well, I meant like, maybe if you had the list with, this is I think you did though, the umbrella company, this is the company that's under it. And if there's a way to have contacts that are associated with the corporate part too, I don't, but and I guess there was a couple of them that, like I said, don't want to see any of those, ones that just take Medicaid or only have like one only had room for 10 people or something, those kind of ones, like,
Needs to be larger.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's
and also the I would, we like to have like with A-List, when we do our A-List, we have badges that we can give people. So I guess it's just up to us to make the badge. Like, I guess it gets a little weird because it's like, they'll put St. Louis Magazine shows us, but really we didn't, but I guess it doesn't matter. That I couldn't, cause like Best Docs, we say, Castle Connolly, this is their, but I just didn't know the best way to do when they want badges, winter badges and stuff.
We definitely leave the badge because of the way that we do business. We're kind of back office. My Dated Jump brand isn't forefront. I push the publisher's brand forefront, and that's
Okay,
one of the reasons people work with me. So anybody who's doing any kind of a badge, they're doing the badge themselves. We don't do
we
the
just
badge.
do, yeah, okay.
We just created logos at Top Senior Living Awards.
Yeah, that's what we
Okay.
did too. I just, yeah. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's something, Danielle, I won't put you on the spot. Danielle is with Pop Mount, and they do design plaques and things like that. And I love her coming on the call because sometimes there are plaque opportunities that
Mhm.
go along with these lists that
Great.
I'm not aware of and maybe you're not aware of. But I don't know if like creating a logo would be a part of creating a plaque, and if that would be something that you would even be willing to do for publishers, if you don't mind just speaking to that quickly, Danielle.
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with a lot of publications like yourself. And we do plaques, awards, digital badges, which are huge, banners, window clings, etc. And we have a revenue share model. So, we can pretty much do anything you need. And I mean, I'd be happy to talk to any of you after the call. I'm familiar with Connolly, and I'm not going to say anything about that. So yeah, just let me know if you're interested. I'd be happy to talk to you and give you any information you need, or, we'd be happy to help. Like I said, we work with publications like yourself, and our main goal is to get ahead of third-party companies stealing your content, building on that, profiting from that. And we take the existing content you have, and then we help you create that revenue and increase any sales and whatnot.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Danielle. And I'll let you know if anybody reaches out and has interest, then I'll
Perfect.
send them your way. Always looking for little places. I love what you guys do. I love your shop. So, so Liz, I got some really good notes from you. I will say just to make sure I get this in before we run out of time. You weren't the first person to complain about and complain in the best way, right? Like to try to make us better. That the contact information was problematic. We were seeing that across the board. And so we instituted a completely new system this year. Shelley has been the first to actually get a list from our new format and our new methodology for contact information collection. Because that was an issue for them last year that, our list didn't have the right breakdown or enough of the contact information. So we invested in that. And this will be the first I've heard of it. Shelley and I haven't connected on this. Shelley, if you're able to hear me and come off of mute in your car, how has that contact information looked for the team this year?
Hi, guys. Sorry, I've been so quiet.
No.
I saw that there were additional names. Thank you for that. I sent it off to the team and I haven't heard back. So I don't have feedback for you,
All right.
but I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, that's good. And I'll keep everybody here posted because we're going to try to measure and make sure that we address that, because that's super important, right? Like if I'm giving you a list and you can't get to the right people, then it makes the list less profitable for the organization, right? So
Yeah, that was probably our biggest hiccup last year. I would add, oh, are you still there?
yeah, everybody's here.
Okay, I would add, hang on, I gotta make this, 1 second. I
No
should not
worries.
be doing this.
You also have to stay alive. Yeah, we need you alive.
Oh, I was gonna say, we lost some ads because of this, because they weren't on the list. So there was that piece of it as well. So just keep in mind, some advertisers may not be on the list, and Johnny's been good about going back and kind of taking a double, triple check at those. Some make it back on because they were close enough. Some don't. But as I've heard from some of you, we get some of the kind of, why aren't we on the list? This makes no sense. Or my mom stays in the XYZ place and loves it. Why isn't it on the list? So that's kind of our cross to bear. And we do have a mark that we can share with everyone.
Okay, so by mark, you mean a logo?
Yeah, like a badge.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, all right, good. So that, and so those are that kind of summarizes the challenges. And so even for people that are considering it, these are all really practical things to keep in mind to be prepared for, the types of objections you might get, the types of reactions that can happen in the worst case scenario. And now we'll talk a little bit more about the best case scenario and how people have been able to monetize it. So question again for my people that have done it before. What have you tried that has worked, right? So if you were basically starting this from scratch, starting all over again, what do you know now? Kind of like Back to the Future, right? Marty McFly goes to the future, goes to the past and has a conversation with people in the past about what he knows from the future. So what would you say to your past self, having been through a few cycles of this, to prepare you for better success out of the gate?
I'm not sure how to answer that one because we do a lot of other similar sections, whether it's, the other awards programs, we kind of have a methodology that kind of works for us. Probably the main thing, I think us switching it into our Top Doctors issue, I think helped us. We were doing it initially alongside another section, that other section that I referenced earlier that we used to do. And that wasn't really a good idea because we had some people who were choosing one or the other section. And then we moved it into our Top Doctors issue and it's done better since then.
Okay.
But beyond that, it's really, like I said, it's the formula that I think we all use. We get the list, we make sure everything on the list is assigned to somebody. We make sure a letter and a mailing goes out and follow-up e-blasts go out, that everybody kind of follows up with everybody. I agree with Liz and Shelley. It can be challenging with some of these companies because, especially in the nursing home side, they're owned by a huge, sometimes there's 3 or 4 of them in our market that are all owned by the same company, which makes it challenging sometimes because they want to buy one profile and have all 4 focused on one profile. Or they're just really, really hard to get a hold of. They don't advertise in local markets because they're a big national player. So that's a challenge, but I'm not sure that there's a lot we can do about that other than any information that you can provide us with, Johnny, and it sounds like you're already addressing that.
Yeah. Now, I remember you and I had talked at some point about the potential of repurposing like your senior care doctors, right? Repurposing those your senior like your geriatric medicine doctors, and then even your estate planning lawyers, like lawyers that are also
Right.
Senior care, and then pushing them in a section. Did that ever happen? Or
actually, I think that's something we talked about more recently. It's something that I wouldn't say we've done it in an organized basis and very strategically gone back and say, okay, let's go after every single lawyer. But we have as a general rule, because when we establish a rapport with the lawyer for Top Lawyers, usually that sales rep will kind of brainstorm it, and the sales rep will generally go back to if there was a lawyer on that list, if there was a doctor on the doctor's list that is focused on that category. And I wouldn't say we've had tremendous success with it, but it's a very smart thing to do and something that everybody should do, and we should probably do it a little bit more strategically.
Yeah. All right. Good. That's a question I had that you answered for me. So I appreciate that. So what has worked? The thing that's worked the best for you is actually taking that and putting it in the same issue as your Top Docs, because it created some synergy,
Right.
And some greater interest.
Correct.
Okay. Excellent. Liz, what you got?
Well, this past year, I was able to get more of a schedule because we actually did a February health publication. So we repurposed our list. We ran in January, we ran the senior care. We had a reader service feature with that also, which helps because these added sections, people, they want editorial, so like we did the service feature edit, and then we ran the profiles. And then in February, we did a health guide and we reran the doctor's list, senior living, and top dentists. It was all health. So I picked up a bunch in that, and then some of them will even run in the August issue. And I actually have some that, you know, they just do multiple. I mean, I got probably 5 or 6 contracts. But it all started from them being on the list.
Yes.
Because it was a reason to reach out and make them think about it. But so this year, so we don't touch our doctors issue because that's our biggest issue that we do. I mean, we just have doctors in it. It's humongous. So but this next year in 2024, we're not doing our health publication anymore. So now I got to figure out how to get these people in regardless of the section. I mean, because it's really selling the audience. That's what we've been really trying to drive to people.
Yeah.
So we're not selling by sections. I mean, get them in there by that, but then get them to buy based on our audience, which is in every issue. Or, I mean, we're digital. I've sold, you know, some of these senior living are starting to do like branded content and, you know, some audience extension stuff. So, which is a good thing too.
Yes. I'm probably going to interview you about this later because I'm hearing a movement in across the industry really about trying to push frequency more.
Oh yeah.
And trying to take every opportunity to push frequency. And I've been asking and being asked how to leverage the lists, because the lists do tend to be so one-off. I think most people's experience is that it's one-off, one
Right.
section advertising. And how do you convert those one-offs, turn that into a funnel for more
Right.
frequency? Which is, it
Oh,
sounds like that's your
totally.
mindset.
Yeah, oh yeah, reinventing the wheel every month is a joke. I'd rather work on the front end completely and get them to, you know, set it up for the whole year. It's just a nightmare trying to, you know, the one-offs. So as a sales rep, my goal is to get them to do more than they did the year before. So if they did 3 print ads and a digital ad, I'm going to get them to do 4 and then do more digital. I mean, it's got to be like that because it's harder and harder.
Yeah.
I'll just jump in here real quick and say, that I think with all of these lists, they all create an opportunity to talk to people who otherwise were not talking to you.
Right.
Whether it's a lawyer, a doctor, a dentist, a realtor. And I think it's really critical. I know a lot of times all of us in this industry, we complain about special sections and we special section ourselves to death. And there's certainly a lot of truth to that. And there's less focus on just selling a standard 12-time or whatever frequency program. But I do think if you look at it from a point of view of seeing these as opening doors that otherwise weren't being opened and having a conversation with somebody, and you might get them to do your faces issue. You might get them to do your women's outstanding women as well. We are, that's what we call our sort of women's profile section. And I would say over the years, we have definitely had success, probably not as much with this particular section, but definitely with some of our doctors and lawyers who have come on board to be a sponsor of an event or do a 3 or 4 time frequency program. And there were people that weren't even on our radar, before. So and I think that's the best way to use special sections is look at them as just talk to them, get them interested in that special section, and then try and build somewhat of a rapport so you can have a conversation about the bigger picture. So.
Yeah.
So confirming for me of what we've thought, because we're in our laboratory, when I'm with my team, we're saying, all right, how do we push these lists? How do we help our partners generate 50%, 100% more revenue on these lists? Like, what would that even look like? And it seems to us to look like frequency opportunities of some sort, right? And so, so we're right in the beginning stages of investigating. How do you take and repackage one list and make it multiple lists, right? to create a natural occasion for frequency. As one way to skin the cat, that may or may not work for everybody, but you know, we do have some people having success with that kind of all-stars model, which is, you know, something I'll talk about later, have a totally separate session dedicated to that at some point. We'll have a roundtable, but that is super confirming for me, both of you. Thank you. And then I'm gonna pass the mic to Shelley. Well, first of all, I'm gonna say, Tom, Lynn, Frank, Molly, any questions so far? I mean, a lot of the talking has been people that obviously have done it, which makes sense, but questions, comments so far from any of you?
I'm just curious in terms of pricing, like what the tolerance is for these, you know, senior living centers. I mean, do you price these profiles relatively similarly to your regular advertising? And would they be in the $7,000-8,000 range for a page?
I think like I can give you our specific numbers, but it's only relevant, you know, everybody's rates are so different between the markets. So what we do is we use for most of those sections what we call a 9-time rate. So we'll kind of average our 6-time and our 12-time rate. So for us, that's about $3,800 for a full page. But you know, New Jersey's rates are probably a lot higher than ours, so they probably would have a different rate structure. But that's generally what we try to do, is have a sort of a 9-time rate.
Yeah, same with us.
Helpful. Is that sort of similar to you as well?
That's
So-
similar to the St. Louis market too, because, well, it also depends on the frequency. I mean, I've gone back to my manager and been like, you know, these guys will do 6 full pages. Can I take them down to the bottom? We have a bottom rate that we can't go below.
Yeah.
And that's like 3,400. So, and of course, they're gonna be like, yeah, because 1 or 6. I mean, so yeah, it just depends. And plus, if they do, say they do a bunch of digital, I mean, it just depends. But I would say the lowest we can go on a full page is 3,400.
Again, I
Lynn,
know
was that
it's-
you?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
I think Shelley was talking, what were you saying, Shelley?
Oh, I was just, Lynn, that was you, right? I can't
That's
see
Lynn.
anybody in as I'm going.
Yes. That
So
was me
yeah,
asking.
I thought so. As Karen said, our rates are so much different, but for us, we sell mostly profiles. And someone else had said that it's mostly just full page display, I think. So we've had a lot of luck with putting mock-ups together, just sites or from other ads that they've done in the market, and then putting a profile together as a mock-up. And it's a lot easier to say yes when you're looking at something that looks really nice. And we priced it very similar to the way we price faces, not quite as high as our top docs or our medical profiles, but a little more like faces.
That's really helpful. So not as high as top docs. Okay.
But yeah, our top docs is a lot higher too.
Is it? Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then Shelley, you're breaking up a little bit, but I'm going to take a risk and just say, you know, did you have anything to add in terms of innovations, things that worked? Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we are going to do a little bit more concerted effort with these I call them badges. I wish they looked better. The problem is there's so many words on the badge because there's 3 different, you know, what it's assisted living and nursing facilities or home health care. It's just really hard to get all of that. So if anyone has any ideas of what we could kind of rename this as an overarching, you know, maybe it's senior living, or I'm not sure, but anyway, our badge has a lot of words on it, but we only allow use of the badge, or we give it to those that are advertising or running profiles, even if they're doing something digitally. But putting a package together that's more full funnel, that has the print kind of at the top of the funnel and some digital advertising that can show them how they're actually going to get some leads using our platform, is something that we're putting together this year that we did not do last year. So that's kind of our big change for this year.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and also we monetized actually the online list and doing the enhanced profiles. I mean, I got a pretty substantial amount out of that. And our badges, we just say, ours are real clean. It just says, top senior care. I mean. So,
Kieran, similar, I mean, Kieran, I know you have a kind of a templated badge situation where it's professional excellence and then whatever the industry is, right? Or is that even, does that even transfer to senior care? I don't know, he's on mute, so he might have to answer after the fact. All right, very good. Well, so I think, let's see, as far as questions, man, this yielded better than I could have hoped for in terms of the challenges, the innovations, and then even just strategic tips for people. So I'll just open it up to Q&A at this point. You know, if there aren't a lot of questions, then we can close early, and I'll give you back 10 minutes of your life.
I have one question, and it's, when you guys are talking about profiles, it's just making me think, who, is it the facility that they're, like, what is in the profile? Like, what's being profiled? Because normally, like, top doctors, it's a doctor or a dentist or a real estate agent. So I'm just trying to figure out what this looks like.
I think, so Shelley, I think I think she may be having trouble with the phone. Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shelley. Yeah, I'll let you tell her.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, Lynn. We don't have photos of a person. We might have some photos of people. But like I said, we grab them from their website. And do you ever do education profiles?
Oh,
So
yeah.
for us, it has that
Yeah.
same kind of template as an education
Yeah.
profile that might not be a person, but more of a school and some students.
Yeah.
If that's helpful.
That's really helpful. Yeah.
So just for my edification, you mean the difference between a fully customized ad and a profile is that the profile is a template and they're filling in an image or something like that, but they're all the same. They're consistent across different profiles. Is that correct, Lynn and Shelley?
Pretty much so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was just trying to figure out what the photo is, and now I get it. It isn't.
but we don't do, we only do, we do display ads. I'd say 90% of mine were display.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good too. Okay.
And I'd much rather get a camera ready ad than deal with the profiles.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
If I can. Yeah.
It's really good to have you here, Liz, to be able to give that kind of gritty street level view for everybody. So thank you very much for that.
I used to be nicer. I've been doing it for 20 years. Now I'm like, you're not wasting my time. My time's valuable too.
Yeah. 100%. Any other questions? While I've got you all here. Tom, you got anything?
No, I'm good. I mean, I've made a lot of notes, and back at the beginning though, you said 4 general categories of data, top nursing, assisted living, home health care, and then the 4th one, which is what I think everybody is really focused on primarily, it sounds like, or at least a lot of the comments here. I wrote down independent living, but you said it a different way as your 4th bucket. What was your?
Adult active 55 plus.
Okay. I
Yeah,
got you.
or independent living, yeah, would fit there too. And that's probably the softest, I will say that's probably the softest methodology of the 4.
I was going to ask, how do you even gauge that? Because I know with the others, you use Medicare and state health departments. So how would you gauge something like that, Johnny?
Right, so it has to do with whether one of the winners in other categories has an independent living section, right? Because it's not judged by federal or state. There is no regulation of
Right.
that. And then we also do some internet research and things like that behind the scenes that to fill it out a bit more. But it's definitely the softest of the 4. You know, it's
And yet it's the one that the businesses themselves probably need to do more marketing and
Yeah.
competitive from
Yeah.
what okay.
Yeah.
Johnny, I have a question. Does Minneapolis St. Paul get that list?
I think you do. I don't remember if that.
I don't think we do. I don't think
Okay.
we do. So my question is on that one, for those that do get the list, or maybe we will be getting it. I don't know. I know we didn't last year.
Yeah.
Is it only independent living for senior living facilities that also have assisted living, et cetera? Or is it also including 55 plus communities?
We do internet research to bring in also other 55 plus communities in addition to those, right? So one of the funnels into that section is the ones that are a part of somebody who's already a winner.
So for the group, our 55 plus active living communities don't want to be anywhere near anything that has to do with assisted living or nursing homes. That they maybe that's why we don't get the list from you, because they don't consider themselves nursing facilities as much as just a cool
Place for people.
place to live.
Yeah.
Yeah, for retirees. I mean, it's an interesting line.
It's a separate list.
Yeah.
So
It
I
makes
have-
sense.
I mean,
Yeah, but-
whenever with the independent living list, I didn't mention anything. When I called those people, I said, you made the top independent living. Now, if there was, they may have made the top assisted as well, which is good, but I didn't have any of that. Nobody said, oh, I don't want to be, because it's a totally separate list.
But they're next to each other in the magazine, right?
They're separate lists though. I mean, it's like independent living.
She's just doing brand ads too, Shelley, so maybe it doesn't matter as much, like if you're trying to do profiles.
I guess I
and
just
stuff.
never had that come up, but it's possible.
Johnny, we don't get the independent list. I don't think I was aware that you did that. We do the other three lists. And I think based on what Shelley was saying, maybe I might even run in a different issue of the magazine anyway, but.
Yeah, we should talk about that because the independent is relatively new and it sounds like I really haven't marketed it much. And so like some of it, Liz kind of pushed for it. And it's the gears are turning, like I'm remembering we added that because we didn't use.
Yeah, because
that was pretty new.
that's from me, because I was like talking to these people and they're like, what about independent living? That's where the money is. I mean, they were honest with me. They're like, I'm not going to spend a ton of money on my nursing home because, it's just, that's what stemmed it. Yeah.
And you had a lot of success, Liz, with the independent?
And that's where I feel like our organic growth has been and why I wanted to kind of see if we could do better on that. It's places where, I mean, in most of New Jersey, very densely populated, and there's a lot of wealth here. And there's people that are moving into these places that, I would love to live in if I could afford that. I mean, it looks like, really you're living in a country club basically. And those people have got money to spend. And some of them do have, seems like these other branches of, memory care units and all that stuff that you unfortunately might age into. But
Right.
I don't know, nursing homes, assisted living, home healthcare, that I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking about the fourth category in terms of some upside for us and trying to organize against that. But as you said at the beginning, you're being transparent. That's the softest list really in a way. And yet I think I'm thinking there's a lot of potential there because more and more people are going to want that.
Yep. Yeah.
But I think
And
it would
there's
be
gonna be
important to have
Yep.
pretty good criteria, to your point, Tom,
Yeah.
so that it has credibility.
Because right now we're just selling ads. We're just saying we have a affluent older audience and, you want to talk to these people, but if we could come up with a way to, make them covet being included, then I think you'd have a powerful sales position.
I would agree with that.
Well, that's good to take back to my team, that they could probably use a little bit more work in terms of the methodology, but worst case scenario, it could be a directory, right? It could just be, these are all of them. So you miss out on that top designation. But if that top designation feels a little bit funny with it being as soft of a methodology as it is, and that would be one quick fix. But yeah, that's good. That's great for me to take back to my team. We love noodling those kinds of problems. And 12:58, looks like we're at time or close to at time. So I'm gonna cut it here. Great. Yeah,
All
okay.
right. Thanks for setting it up, Johnny.
Thanks,
Oh, so-
thanks everybody for your help. That was really
Somebody
great.
was gonna say one more thing. Somebody's gonna say one more thing. Go ahead. Last word. Who was it?
I was waving.
Okay, you're just waving. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a friendly wave.
Yeah, just friendly way.
Thanks for
care.
coming.
Bye.
Take care.